And so I'm going to ask my good friend, Nicole Rodrigues and George back to talk about, how the media is looking at NFTs. What is the media really saying? And let me, George has been introduced, but let me introduce you to Nicole, who again, I've known for many years, and bear with me. Hi, Nicole. Hi, George.
Hi,
Welcome
Dave.
back, George.
Hey, David. Hey,
So,
Nicole.
sorry?
Hey,
Hey,
David. Hey, Nicole.
Hey. So Nicole is the CEO and founder of NRPR Group and the Young Dreamers Foundation. She's an award-winning, well-rounded public relations and marketing pro. Her extensive knowledge in bridging the gap between the technology and various consumer industries makes her extremely valuable to her team and clients. Nicole's agency is also the agency of record for Liquid Avatar Technologies. So we're super glad to have her here. And George, I'm going to sit back and let you ask a couple questions because Nicole is the expert here on what the media is. The media is really focused on in NFTs. I've given a little bit, but Nicole can say so much more.
Yeah, but you stole my thunder on the intro because I was supposed to give her
Oh, yeah,
intro.
sorry.
And I
I'm
had
so used
much
to
more
doing them already.
flair.
It's like I'm doing them
I had
all.
much more emphasis and exclamation marks, but that's fine.
But I know her better, so that's easier.
Hey, Nicole. Yeah, as David said, you're the CEO and founder of NRPR Group, so you've got your thumb on the pulse. How's the media treating this new medium? So specifically, are they fueling the money and the glamour side of all this? Are they critically reporting and trying to get information in the hands of people to really understand this? Because I look at it seems like more of it is from the flash side. Wow, the dollars, as opposed to what are you seeing? And is that and is that a mistake? Is that good for the industry or bad?
no, and that's a really good question. And my answer is it really depends on what media you're following, right? If you're reading the trades, the coin telegraphs of the world, the coin desks, the people who are really covering what's going on in blockchain, you're dealing with media who are a lot more sort of well versed in what's going on. So you're going to get a very balanced, well rounded, sometimes negative, right? It's like, oh, you know what, we've seen this. Or they want to make sure that people are aware. Please do not just dive into the hype, right? You can read it in Billboard, you could read it in Complex, David. You can read it in all these great places. They're not going as in depth in the security issues. And as you guys even heard earlier today, environmental issues, things like that. You get into some of these trades, and of course, they're going to have a more in-depth look at what's really going on, how to be careful, how to, how do you say, prepare yourself, if you will. So, the answer really is where you're reading. And that is why I really do recommend that people don't just stick to one source, especially right now that NFTs are having their place in the sun. This is the hot thing that everybody wants to talk about. So you're going to want to read from different angles and different industries to get an understanding of where everyone is coming from.
I guess my concern comes from the fact that most people, let's face it, overwhelmingly get their news from Facebook and social media platforms. They don't go into the specialty sites and things like that. And what I'm seeing there is kind of like what I did my initial intro of this whole webinar, which was, did you hear about that NFT that sold for $1 kajillion, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that threaten the NFT industry, or at least provide a real major hurdle? Because most people will naturally just focus on, hey, how can I make money from this, and completely miss all the details, and therefore, have the industry, the real foundation people in the industry have to then clean up all that damage after. That's my biggest concern. There's so many great things about NFT, but do you think that's overblown, or do you think that has any validity?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point, right? It's definitely a good point. But I would tell you that kind of like with what happened with Bitcoin, you're going to have things that you're going to see pop up on Facebook, and you're going to be able to scan it almost like that first onion layer, right? But usually people are going to go talk to friends who have gotten involved, other people who have been doing their research, other sources where they might be able to find more of an educated sort of opinion on these things. So are people going to want to get in and get into it? Absolutely. But this isn't an easy thing to just get into. And that's why you have companies like Liquid Avatar, right? People like David and others who can guide people in it. GC wasn't like, hey, you know what? Let me go and study the NFT industry and let me figure out how to do this. There are great companies here to sort of guide the artists, the celebrities, the you name it, into what's happening, because this isn't something easy that you can just dive into. And so therefore, I don't think that it's going to be too easy for people to mess up. However, like David said before on the webinar, get everything on the blockchain. Where incidents are going to happen is where people are going to forget about the security issues, right? They're going to look at the art piece or that issue, and then they're not going to think about the security thing. So you want to be careful who you surround yourself with, and just make sure that you're working with people who really get it.
And specific to Oasis, does yesterday's news about Jeezy and a lot of coverage it's getting? Heck, I saw one of my tweets about it in an article. I don't know how that happened, but do you think that a lot of attention is going towards Oasis? Because people naturally asking, I know who Jeezy is, who the hell are these Oasis guys? That's what I think should be happening. Do you think that as they succeed with the John Lennon NFTs and all these other great initiatives, that Oasis will emerge? Or is it still a real big dogfight in there? It's too early in the game.
Oh no, I think that's exactly what's going to happen. That's a natural progression, right? So you have Oasis as an entity that's fairly new, and Jeezy is what people know, or the Beatles, May Pang, whatever. You use what media know in their reality. They know that, and it's almost like bringing the new kid to the party, and then it's like, oh hey, oh that's right, that was the company that Jeezy used for their NFT. And that's the natural progression. So we have enough of those. And the way that Oasis and Liquid Avatar are making deals and making things happen, it becomes easier and easier to get them in front of the press, because the press are like, oh, cool, they've done it again. And this time they've done this. It becomes that familiar face. And that essentially is how you can break into this is a very loud and crowded market. So you've got to be persistent, and you've got to have a lot going, because even if you had one thing, this Jeezy thing isn't going to take Liquid Avatar 3 months from now. That's why we're already thinking about the next announcement that we're making to keep them top of mind.
Well, what is that announcement, by the way, Nicole?
Can't disclose. Right? Oh, that was a trick question. That was a trick.
Nicole, I know you weren't going to fall for it, but if I had Lucatch on his own, I could make him fall right into that trap. So
right, yeah. Facebook.
Being cognizant of the time limits we have, so because we're setting Oscar records, I want to. So that was great. And trust me, you and I could speak for 20 minutes just on this, but we're allocated 6 or so. Let me ask you, what are the important takeaways that you want people at home watching or listening by podcast in the future, all of this, to really understand about where to find the right information in the media, and what to look for?
Yeah, that's, again, great question. So you're going to want to go to some of these trades. Like I mentioned, Cointelegraph and CoinDesk. Those are some of my favorites, only because they have been around. They do give you the good, the bad, the ugly. And those are the things that you want to make sure that you're reading, because they do know the sources, especially when it comes to, blockchain and everything else. And then keep up with, I even read things in the mainstream, like Time Magazine wrote a really great NFT story. The Verge actually wrote one of my favorites, and it broke it down. Each piece of the industry that you should be thinking about, you want to get in, here are all of the components, and they broke it down in very plain English and made it really fun. So I would just recommend reading often, because things, just like with tech in general, change. So never read one thing and assume that you know everything. And for everyone who's paying attention to this webinar, you're already taking a good first step anyway. There was a lot of great things covered. So.
And by the way, on that note, everybody, if you're on Twitter, you don't have to be following me, but if you look at my profile and look at my lists, and I'm a huge Twitter list guy, one of my list items is NFT gurus. So if you're not sure about where to start looking, go copy and follow that list. And then, that's gonna give a lot of sources. Nicole was talking about some other great sources. And the great thing about great sources, right, Nicole, is they talk about other great sources. So you'll only expand your knowledge, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much, Nicole. Thanks for putting a great face on this and talking about it. And I wish we could talk more, but I'm sure you and I are gonna be talking again on future podcast
Absolutely.
webinars.
So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, David.
Thanks,
Thank you
David.
both.